Have you ever just sat back and marveled at what tools like ChatGPT, Gemini, or Claude can actually do? I mean, you type a prompt into a little box, and literally within seconds, it's writing a compelling story, translating a massive document, or, fixing some totally broken computer code. It feels like straight-up science fiction happening right on our screens, spinning up billions of words every single day. But here's the thing. It's not magic. It's just incredibly smart engineering. So welcome to today's Explainer, where our goal is to completely demystify how these AI systems actually function, strip away the mystery, and really get to know the tech that's shaping our world.
If you've spent even 5 minutes playing around with these platforms, you've probably caught yourself wondering, okay, how do tools like ChatGPT actually work, right? Like, how on earth does a computer sound so remarkably human when it's chatting with us? Well, today we're popping the hood. We're going to unpack that black box and uncover the actual mechanics making these tools tick. All right, let's dive into this. Here's our game plan. First, what an LLM actually is. Second, how do they work? Third, the training process. Fourth, real-world uses. And finally, we'll wrap up with the pros, cons, and what the future holds. So, part 1. What is an LLM? Let's peel back the layers of this AI. The big secret behind all these jaw-dropping AI tools is a little acronym, LLM, or Large Language Model. Basically, it's an AI system trained on an absolute mountain of text, so it can understand and generate human language. Just picture a digital brain that has literally read almost the entire public internet. We're talking millions of books, articles, Reddit threads, historical documents, you name it. It maps out the crazy, intricate patterns of how we communicate, and by chewing through all that data, the system learns exactly how humans write and speak. Now, imagine that same system can answer almost any question you throw at it simply by predicting which word should naturally come next. That right there is the core of how an LLM operates. Let's break that acronym down a bit. The large part? Yeah, that means it relies on a staggeringly huge amount of text data. Then there's language, which means it actually grasps human languages like English, Hindi, or Spanish, but also computer syntax like Python and C++. And finally, model. This just means it's an AI architecture specifically trained to recognize complex mathematical patterns and make logical predictions. Put all three together, and boom, a large language model is an AI system built to understand and predict language on a massive, massive scale. Moving right along to part 2. How do LLMs work? Time to look at the prediction engine. Let's do a quick little thought experiment together. If I just pause for a second and say to you, birds can fly, right? Your brain probably filled that in automatically without you even trying. Well, an LLM does the exact same thing, just on a massive, supercharged mathematical scale. It calculates the probability of millions of possible words that could logically follow your prompt, and it just picks the most likely one. Then, it repeats that process, guessing the next word and the next word, one single word at a time, until it builds a complete sentence, a paragraph, or a whole 10-page essay. That's the secret sauce of how it holds a natural-sounding conversation or explains complex stuff. It's basically playing the world's fastest, most sophisticated game of fill-in-the-blank. Which brings us to part 3, the training process, or how we actually build this digital brain. Now, during this intense rehearsal phase, the AI isn't just mindlessly memorizing some giant database. Not at all. It's actually learning the deep underlying relationships between words. It's extracting grammar, absorbing facts, mimicking writing styles, and even picking up on human reasoning patterns. It mathematically learns why a love poem sounds so fundamentally different from a dry legal contract. Essentially, it's mapping out the entire architecture of human thought, just based on how we use text. But getting to that level of pattern recognition, that requires a totally mind-boggling amount of computing power. This doesn't just happen overnight on somebody's laptop. We are talking about massive server farms sucking up the electricity of a small town, packed with thousands of specialized GPUs. And they have to run continuously for months just to get one single model ready for the public. The sheer scale of the hardware and the time it takes is honestly staggering. All right, part 4, real-world uses, taking all this from theory into practice. It is amazing when you look at how these highly trained prediction engines have already sneaked their way into almost every single industry. Take education and healthcare. They're personalizing how students learn and summarizing crazy dense medical files to save doctors a ton of valuable hours. Over in business and software, they're the brains behind those 2 a.m. customer service chatbots, and they're literally helping developers write code faster than ever before. Marketing? They're drafting thousands of advertisements and social media posts every day. Seriously, Whether you're translating an email or using something like Microsoft Copilot or Meta AI, you are directly benefiting from an LLM.
Finally, part 5, pros, cons, and the future. Time for a little reality check. Because as cool as all this is, we've got to weigh these amazing superpowers against some pretty strict limitations. Yes, you get 24/7 availability, instant answers, and a massive productivity boost for almost any text-based task you can imagine. But on the flip side, they can also confidently spit out entirely incorrect information. They might totally misunderstand the nuance of what you're asking, or completely lack today's news if they aren't hooked up to the live internet. So the ultimate reality check is this. You should always treat an LLM as a super capable intern or assistant. Never treat it as your final, infallible source of truth. Always, always verify. But even with those quirks, the trajectory of this tech is just undeniable. LLMs are getting noticeably better, faster, and way more accurate every single year. I absolutely love this quote from our source material. Learning about LLMs today is like learning about the internet 20 years ago. Really think about that for a second. This is not some passing trend. It's rapidly becoming one of the most foundational technologies of our time, and it's going to play a massive role in fields ranging from robotics to global scientific research. So, now that you're in on the secret, that these systems aren't literal magic, but actually brilliant mathematical prediction engines trained on human knowledge, the ball is entirely in your court. The question really isn't whether this technology is going to change the world. It already is. The real question is, how will you leverage this prediction engine to shape your own future? Thanks so much for hanging out with me for this explainer. Keep learning, keep experimenting,